So please make them welcome Patrick Mangan in conversation with Santo Clara.
Thank you, Joel. You start, Pat.
After you.
Okay. Welcome everybody here tonight, and thanks for coming along. This is I think this is a great night, and especially for it's quite wonderful to see so many people here supporting Patrick, who's I think apart from being just a wonderful author, a great storyteller, he's just a really good guy. So I think we just I think on behalf of everyone, Patrick, we're so happy that you finally written something. So you are a great guy. I don't really know where to start. I think we're about to have a conversation. It's kind of odd. It's like walking into meet someone and go, let's have a conversation.
What about childhood?
Childhood?
Yeah.
Well, I think we should start where your book starts. Your book starts on the night of November the 29th, 1997. And I think we all have a story about where we were on that night. That was the night that Australia played Iran.
Yes.
And my cousin's here tonight, Enrico. He got married on that night. And it was quite an incredible night at his wedding because it was, I think it was in the middle of your speech, possibly the best man speech, that people were just screaming out, Australia's gone 2-0 up, and people were cheering and not paying much attention to any of the speeches at all. And I think, was Emil your best man, or was he your friend?
No, just a friend.
Just a friend, who's Rayleigh Rasich's godson. And he apologised to Enrico, said, look, I really can't come to your wedding. This is going to be the greatest night of my life. I'm going to have to go to the game. And Enrico said, yeah, sure, that's fine. I totally understand you, my friend. I get it. And Emma was so moved that Enrico was so magnanimous that he said, you know what? I'm not going to go to the game. I'm going to go to the wedding. When they announced that Australia was winning by 2-0, by 2-0, Emma got up and left. He actually got in a cab. He said he had to be at the game, and none of us actually knew that he'd left, but we realised that he'd been because he looked so different at the end of the night. He looked like he had basically been through a washing machine. He really did. So he went there for Iran's 2 goals. He got there in time to see them score twice. And I think that there's stories all over the place about what happened on that evening, and I don't want to give away too much about what happens in the book, but the book starts off on that night, and it is a great way to start the book. And I won't tell you where it finishes, but it finishes in a great place as well, an enigmatic kind of place. But I like it. Patrick,
So why weren't you at the game then?
I was at the wedding. I had to be at the wedding.
Well,
No, it was good. You tried to change it, it was too late. And Rick wanted to go to the game as well. But we probably can return to childhood, can't we, Patrick? Because even though we grew up in very different environments, I think there are a lot of parallels. And it does make me think that, in a way, everyone has their own. Certainly people who love their football, have quite amazing memories, especially childhood memories, because things were so simple when we were children. And we remember so much of it. I didn't grow up in the country. I grew up in inner suburban Melbourne. I grew up with AFL football, just lived around the corner from Victoria Park in Collingwood, so we loved our football. But my dad was involved in soccer, and I still call it soccer. I don't mind calling it soccer. That's the way I grew up calling it, so it doesn't really matter. But I was obsessed by the game, and I remember seeing my very first FA Cup. It was Chelsea versus Leeds, I think in 1970.
yeah.
It was. And I had to go for Chelsea because Chelsea had an Italian goalkeeper, Peter Benetti.
Yeah.
Followed Chelsea ever since.
So was you interested in footy and soccer equally, or?
I think so. I think I was far more connected to soccer in the sense that I know where I was the day Collingwood lost the grand final to Carlton. We were at Olympic Park watching Juventus and George Cross, and we could actually hear all the crowd screaming. It just flowed across, so you knew something special was happening over at the MCG. And unfortunately, it was Collingwood getting overrun by Carlton and Hopkins.
So you were more of a Collingwood fanatic than you were a supporter of any particular soccer club, or?
Well, I followed Juventus, but it was handy because they were both black and white, so I had to just hit the one jumper.
Yeah.
So it was very handy. But I probably grew up more with football than with soccer. But Dad was involved, so I I know that you got to visit certain dressing rooms of teams in Olympic Park and certain places, and I visited those very places. Patrick, why don't you talk a little bit about your introduction to football, to soccer?
Well, I guess you were probably born into the soccer world, maybe by being part of the Italian-Australian community in, it was Collingwood?
It was in Collingwood, yeah.
Yeah. And I guess I was born into a similar soccer world, but I just didn't quite realise it until I was maybe 8 or 9. I can't quite recall why I was completely oblivious to the existence of soccer until that time. But it was when Dad, who's here this evening, would get letters from my grandfather talking about what was happening back home, and how Uncle Kevin had a bit of a cough, and how Tottenham Hotspur had been disappointing him lately. And it all became part of the framework of England and of home, with us having migrated to Australia when I was 5 and I was 8 then, that suddenly, it gradually occurred to me that this was something that I could be a part of through, that I could express my Englishness, I suppose, because I still hadn't quite committed to being Australian. And it was through the soccer world that it's like, that's something else which is English, along with Ford Zephyrs and Doctor Who and other kind of cultural artefacts. So that was I guess that was the kind of a real turning point for me, because as soon as I had that in mind, it was soccer full steam ahead, for the next 40 odd years.
I'm very curious because when you do read the book, and it really is an absolutely sensational book. I genuinely couldn't put it down. I'm a notoriously slow reader, and I think I got through it faster than the Hulk Hogan autobiography. It's a day and a half. And it really is unputdownable, and it's also so funny. I can't get over how dense it is with humour. It really is. Not only is it a great storyteller, but just funny stories. And I was totally blown away, not just by your obsession, and we'll talk about obsession later, but the fact that you and your brother John felt the need to actually not only be supporters, but actually write stuff about it and actually circulate it, even though you circulated to the kids down the street or whoever decided to read what you were doing. But you would write weekly reports and magazines. Why?
Well, I think the question is more why didn't you? I mean, it felt completely natural to me and to my brother John, who's here this evening as well, for us to just write everything down, to basically replicate Roy of the Rovers magazine and Shoot Soccer magazine, which were the English comics and magazines at the time. And we just really, we just wanted to be exactly like them, and we wanted to be, I suppose, again, express our Englishness and our creativity through shamelessly ripping off such august publications.